Hi, I'm Dr. Sonia Doherty, Naturopathic Doctor, and I am here for an exceptional ND interview with the amazing Dr. Romi Raina, and of course, my partner in crime and co-founder, Dr. Chris Doherty, ND. And we are so excited to hear more about, how you got interested in naturopathic medicine, and we know you're really involved in the profession in lots of different ways. And yeah, just want everyone to hear what you think is important for them to know.
Well, awesome. Thank you so much for having me on for this vignette. I've actually taken a look at a couple of the other episodes, and it's been really amazing just to hear from other practitioners how their story is unique, how their career path and journey has been unique to them, and what a gift to the profession. So I really thank you to Sonia
Thank
and
you.
Krista for sharing this with the profession. I think it's an excellent project, and I'm really impressed by it and with exceptional ND overall. Thank you so much.
It means
Thank
a lot
you.
coming from you.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a big thank you. We appreciate it.
Well, we all support each other, and that's been
Yeah.
a big motivation for me in the career. But yeah, I kind of probably started out in the career in a lot of ways that are very similar to other naturopathic doctors. I think we all sort of have been bit by that bug of helping profession, wanting to get into healthcare, and then somewhere along the way we discovered naturopathic medicine. So yeah, I got to school at McMaster University, sort of that pathway to the medical profession, and things were going well. Things were going, taking my science degree, not loving it, I got to say, like just doing it out of obligation, not so much out of passion at that time. But then I pursued things out of the passion. Joined the first response team at McMaster, became actually a reservist for the military as a medic. Yeah, so I did
Yeah.
that for quite some time. But what that did is it sort of thrust me into the environment of healthcare and hospitals, pre-hospital, clinical. And what I started to observe is like, you'd sit there and you're there for some reason or another. You'd look around and people are miserable. Not just the patients, but the practitioners, the healthcare professionals. There's this look of like someone's trapped in a traumatic experience. And when I would reflect on that, I'm like, look, I'm in the faculty of science. Like I see the same thing, like just this sort of like for myself here, a lack of passion. When I look into the medical profession, I don't see joy, and that I see burnout. Really, is what I see. And is that what I really want? Now, not that burnout doesn't exist in naturopathic medicine, but I feel we're the captains of our ship a little bit more.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely.
in my full like Libra nature, I flipped to one side of the scale, way over to the other side, and I'm like, I left the faculty. I stopped. I cut my degree short from 4 years to 3 years. I got the degree still, but then went over to anthropology and got my honors degree there. So like in the 5 years I was at Mac, I got the value deal of getting two bachelor degrees in that time.
That's awesome.
But in reflection, I almost found that getting the science degree on one hand and the anthropology degree really satisfied something I was looking for. Like fundamentally, I just wanted to know about what makes us tick, what makes people do the things they do, be the way that we are, and those two areas of study really complemented that. And so, talk about passion in anthropology. Like I had a hard time doing my obligated reading for science in anthropology. I was doing extra reading, reading books that I
Yes.
wasn't even supposed to read. Like I just loved it. The professors were engaged and passionate, and in that time, I came across a couple of people that were at CCNM. One is Dr. Onkar Singh, who I had known because he went to Mac, and another was a friend of mine from high school, and he actually had gone ahead and done the study. And first, for my friend from high school, he just pulled me up one day and said, Romy, this is for you. I've been
Ah,
thinking about you
that's
for
awesome.
weeks here, and I need to reach out. And same with Dr. Singh. He said, you know what, you need to check out the college. Like when I think about you, I think you belong here. And so when he toured me around and checking it all out, that's where that shift finally occurred. And so yeah, I'm indebted to shout outs to Dr. Singh and Dr. Zaidi for making that happen. So yeah, that's kind of how I foray into the profession. Yeah.
That's amazing. Yeah, I know. I think I read too that you had worked in a community in Brazil at a health center as well. So, in Guatemala, like just having different experiences from, outside of Canada. A lot of us haven't seen the healthcare system in different parts of the world.
Yeah, it was in Guatemala and Brazil where, during my summer months, I would be able to, I joined an organization where we would just do that and they would just sort of give us free reign. And I would take a little bit of a bag of, I was first aid trained back then, first responder. And yeah, and I worked in a community health clinic alongside a nurse practitioner and a medical doctor. So we got to see a lot of people there, and we're running a free clinic for a little while. And one of the more memorable ones was in Brazil. I just took my like first responder, backpack or whatever it was, and we just walked the streets of Brazil at night, and you would meet, people that are homeless and impoverished, and just giving them a bandage. And that really does lay the groundwork for naturopathic medicine for me, because one of my favorite things about naturopathic medicine is the time. You know, where is first do no harm when you're in a medical system that has to churn out patients by the minute? How can you do that? And how many times as naturopathic practitioners have we met patients that have this deer in the headlights kind of look because of all the trauma they faced from the healthcare system? And the fact that they're finally able to unload their story, finally be able to be heard, finally be able to receive some compassion, and you just see how that transforms their own ability to self-care and take on their situation. So that I think would lay the groundwork for one of the things I just love the most about our profession.
I totally agree. I will have students here, and one of the things that I share with them is that like you don't have to be a perfect naturopathic doctor. Sometimes you're the first person to even listen to someone, right? To just show up and care. But you obviously have a much more frontline role in training our next generation of naturopathic doctors. So I'm curious to hear a little bit more about your experience as a supervisor. I know your students love you. I can tell you that. We have them here all
Thank
the
you.
time. They love you.
That's awesome.
Yeah, they learned a
That's great
lot.
to
They think
hear.
you're a great doctor. So to not just liking you personally, which I think we all do, but just rave about your ability to help patients.
I appreciate hearing that. I love working at CCNM as a supervisor. It's been a bit that I've been doing that for more than 10 years. And that was born out of clinical practice just becoming a little bit too one-on-one. And that's a hard part of our profession sometimes. I was working a solo practice, and so you're sort of with patients all day, and I was reaching that burnout. But my treatment for burnout is do more, but do but do
We know
more that's
that.
different. Yeah, I'm sure you could relate. Yeah. But do more
No.
that's different. Don't do more of the same,
Mhm.
and find that fulfillment through that approach, and that's worked for me. And so yeah, it's been a bit of a day one sort of passion project there with CCNM in that role. And I like to lead by example. I like to give students sort of a bit of a long leash for discovery, so that they're able to try different things, with some guidance and things like that. We straddle a lot of sort of balances in being evidence-based, in being patient-centered, in following the traditional aspects of our medicine. And I want to offer something in each of those areas. What I don't want to see is we get pigeonholed into this is the way. Like, I don't do homeopathy. Well, come on, if you don't do homeopathy, you're missing out on some major opportunities there. And so, or I only do what's evidence-based. Well, there's a huge swath. Naturopathic medicine is on the cutting edge. And so we're in a lot of ways generating future evidence through that practice. And it's if we just abandon that cutting edge, let's not forget how safe our medicine is. So we have an ability to do that and actually feel okay about it. So I think it's refreshing to students sometimes that I'm willing to venture into those areas, and they really appreciate that. But yeah, in the same way, what I think we have the opportunity as supervisors to demonstrate is presence with the patient. Like, you can open up a book, you can take a look at a materia medica, you can do all those things in your spare time, and that's great. But when do you? It's only in the internship year, and if you do preceptorship and stuff like that, that you get to see, like, how do you actually be with a patient? How are you with a patient during the uncomfortable situations of them unloading their own trauma, their own pains, things that actually, yes, they make us feel uncomfortable. Like, they're not terribly wonderful things that some people have to go through, yet you sit there with them through that. And that process, you don't even have to say much, but just being there with them can speak volumes unto themselves. And I think, um, if I had to guess, I think that's where students really appreciate me, is that they get a chance to get, sort of a front row seat on that experience, and and building that rapport, building that connection with patients is so integral to naturopathic medicine. We're the ones that do it.
Yeah.
And I think it's interesting because it's almost, what there's a Jean Vanier book called Becoming Human, and it's how you sort of walk this dual path when you support someone with different needs, and how it brings out the best in you as a human. And I feel like I said this to Krista and my daughter the other day. It's like it's tough to be kind of a rotten person to be a naturopathic doctor, because it's such a profession that brings out the humanity, the compassion, the love, the kindness, the patience. And it's this exceptional ND sort of interview series has been a gift, just to hear you say that in your training, and the next generations of naturopathic doctors, to ensure they have that, because that really separates us from the traditional system, which, as you mentioned, like is not a perfect system. And I love what you said about evidence-based medicine. My mentor, she's a pediatrician,
Uh-huh.
and she's an amazing lady. She's Southern, so she's quite, strong in her opinions, and she's
Cool.
brilliant. She's like, evidence-based medicine is, sure, randomized control trials, research. It's physiology, it's biochemistry, it's anecdotal experience, not just your personal
Hmm.
anecdotal, but the collective of your profession.
Hmm.
And, worshiping at the altar of RCT trials is taking away from naturopathic medicine,
Yeah.
right? The homeopathy piece really hit me, because Ileana, who you've met, she came to your conference, which I want to
Right.
talk about because it was amazing. Um, she broke her nose last week. So Wednesday, she broke her nose, and she had a puncture wound from an acrylic nail that went almost to her bone.
Oh, wow.
So yeah, it was not great. She took arnica right away, because she always
Uh-huh.
has it at rugby. And we got to ER. They were pretty good. You wait a long time, but that, the deer in the headlight, everyone's trapped. Like that really was like back there last week. So we went through the process of getting her assessed, and it was stitched up beautifully by the ER doc. And so then we go to the plastic surgeon, and her face is swollen. The
Hmm.
arnica, though, and all the like homeopathics, the ledum, the hypericum, the symphytum, all of it's working. She barely bruised,
Oh, wow.
but she was really swollen. And she said her nose didn't feel right. Her nostril was up, and she was upset. And then the plastic
Hmm.
surgeon said, "Well, I don't think we're going to fix it, because it's a surgery you may not need." But then Ileana, she's 15. So what do you do? Anyway, long story
Right.
short, my daughter's panicking. I'm digging deeper into the toolbox of naturopathic medicine. What else do I have access to? I think of Verna Hunt and her magic hands.
Uh-huh.
Get her in the next day. Dr. Hunt takes her. She, within half an hour, her face started to look better. And within an
Wow.
hour, her face was back. Her nose is straight. The swelling was down. Stitches came out yesterday, I think, a Wednesday. Stitches came out Wednesday. And it's already, the scar is better. And her own physician,
Wow.
the nurse who took the stitches out, who was a plastics nurse,
Right.
everyone's blown away, right?
Yeah.
Naturopathic medicine. And
There
and
you go.
and
The
we
power
have,
of it right
yeah,
there.
we
Yeah.
have thousands of these stories from our medicine being
That's right. That's
like
right.
just almost unbelievable. Yet it is happening every day in our practices. So
Yeah.
I
I
love I
mean,
love that. I
yeah,
know.
you if you, I mean, that homeopathy has its challenges. Sure. I mean, you have to be pretty adept as a practitioner, know your remedies really well. It's a practice, it's a study, and it's doable. But by ignoring that, we excise this potential for an amazing power, and actually addressing things that are inexplicable, like the almost like the magic of our medicine. Where I've had patients be in tears because this migraine that they've dealt with for decades, they've taken these pellets and it's gone. And it's like, what? Like, how was it so easy? I've been to so many neurologists, I've had so many scans, and all I had to do was this. And it's like, hey, yeah, I guess so.
It's wonderful. And so this, I think, the beauty of technology being that hopefully we can capture more and more of these like exceptional clinical pearls. And
Yeah.
your conference is another example, of just people getting amazing naturopathic knowledge. And I mean, I spoke, so I have to be careful, because it wasn't all about mine being great. No, I'm teasing.
Though it
Uh,
was. Both of
it's,
yours. Yeah.
it was an honor to come. Honestly, it was so much fun. And but you learn what other people are doing. Like I learn from all your speakers. I learn, from every time I hear you guys talk, other naturopaths, I learn. So
Yeah,
Well,
tell us about your platform.
yeah, how did you
yeah,
get started with that? Yeah.
yeah, it's probably like very similar to that classical entrepreneurial story, but I was probably 2 or 3 years out in practice, and I'd attended a conference, and really disappointed. overall. Spent that weekend there and felt like I'd been talked at a lot, not really challenged in my thinking, not really offered a whole lot new. And I thought, wow, what's the value of that? And even when I looked around at the audience, I can even remember today, one person beside me, sitting beside me, she was doing these like really cool doodles. They were cool, but she was just doodling all weekend. And then the other one was knitting. She was catching up with her knitting. So and if I looked around at all like the laptop screens around me, it's like Facebook there, Gmail there, and it's like, wow, I'm not the only one who's disengaged. Like it's almost the whole room is disengaged, and that to me was really frightening for the profession. We need to enhance our knowledge. Like obviously we're lifelong learners, and probably most naturopaths only cut out a weekend, 2 weekends out of the year for that purpose, and we're spending it catching up on our Facebook scrolling. Like what a loss. And I can understand why. What we were hearing about, what we were being lectured on, it wasn't engaging, and I just knew we could do better. We live in, this was in the GTA. It was just outside of Toronto where the conference was being held. And so we live in Southern Ontario in this totally dynamic center for naturopathic medicine, holistic health, and healthcare overall. We have such a swath of expertise around us. Why are we not drawing upon that? So that was the inspiration. And the next year I was like, we're getting started. I knew I would regret it if I didn't do something about it. Like I knew if I looked back 2 years later and said, what if, or should I, could I have, I would have been just felt really crummy about it. So I said, okay, I got to do this. And we started off really small. It was, we did our first conference. It was at the end of May or early June. I can't even remember. We're going to get on 10 years pretty soon.
Wow.
That was in 2015.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Yeah. And we just rented like a little lecture hall, and U of T was not air conditioned, and it was like sweltering hot, and it was on pain management and inflammation. And we had, such a range of speakers between, we had like a medical doctor speaking on BHRT. We had a homeopath and Dr. Kellerstein speaking on his experiences. So we really wanted to cover the spectrum, really be that collaborative in nature. But yeah, I thought the audience was great. They were so so positive in their feedback, even though they were sweating buckets all weekend in that room. So they were totally gracious. But that just kept us going. And here we are, like 10 years later. We do our annual conference, which is 3 days. And we host our online on-demand library where we have like 125 or so videos, and we just want to see naturopaths be successful. That is the main motivation, through pushing the envelope, pushing our understanding further, serving our patients better. And it was a natural evolution for the profession. But what I love seeing now is so many options when it comes to professional development, continuing education, so many choices for the naturopath to say, oh, I want to learn a little bit here. Oh, the Doherty sisters and the Exceptional ND and the team that you have working on that offers so much clinically relevant stuff. And it's like, I love that. Like people will say, oh, you must be concerned about all this competition. I'm like, no, that's the last thing I'm concerned. Like bring it on. Like the more the merrier in this regard. It's just going to make the profession stronger. So
Absolutely.
I love that evolution.
I agree. And one of the big things we wanted to be part of this platform was highlighting other really good educational platforms like yours. And it's wonderful. Dr. Anderson was on early on. Chris really was very nervous. So that's a hilarious video to watch, just even for that.
I'll have to check that one out.
It's pretty funny. Yeah, Brian Raid has some education stuff. It's wonderful. And it's wonderful that naturopaths want to share that info. Because we all have a different focus, like I don't treat adults, so I can only help with so much, really.
Right.
Yeah.
We've got Joe. Yeah, I just bought probably like 5 videos from Paul's site, because I mean it's just fascinating stuff there. I saw Brian's video, and as you guys, and that's the credit to this interview series. As you're talking to Brian, I'm checking out his website, and it's like, oh wow, look at all the stuff he does, and really eye-opening from that point of view. So totally worked.
Good. Yeah. Well, I mean, when we said exceptional ND, of course, we thought I hope people don't think we're just like the three of us, Jody, Chris, and I are the exceptional NDs, and we're, it's like, no, it's being an exceptional ND is a journey, not a destination. It's not an individual ND. It's an idea that I think you very much embody. Like it's been really awesome getting to know you over the last, months and It's been great. I think you're a fantastic and important leader in our profession, and I'm
Oh,
grateful for that.
well, that's is so well appreciated just to hear that from you and Carissa. Like, I look up to you both as practitioners, as also leaders in the profession, and it's been great also getting to know you over the past few months. And I look forward to continuing that and continuing to see through this collaboration just continued growth for the profession. We're so ready for it.
Yeah, we are ready. The kids, I think the students you have too, they're chomping at the bit. They appreciate they appreciate your tutelage and your scope. And then it's great that you've kind of extended it to be like, and now that you want to practice as an ND, here's some tools for you. So
Yeah,
Yeah,
do it well. You're galvanizing. I think that's the right word, but
yeah,
that's awesome to hear. That means so much.
yep. We appreciate your time. We'll let you go, but thank you so much for coming on.
and
You're
yeah,
very
tell
welcome.
everyone if they don't
Oh
know,
yeah,
probably they do know, but make sure they know your website. It's
Oh yes, it's collaborativeeducation.ca, and
perfect.
on there you can see what we're all about.
Yeah,
Yep.
and
And
you can get our webinars from your amazing conference. Krista did
That's right.
awesome one on POTS. It was really good. And Jody's I loved. I learned a lot. I'm really getting more into the herbs just with her talking about them all the time. And then
That's right.
yeah.
Your methylation one as well, Carissa, your POTS one was excellent, and Jody's was so practically focused on making the prescriptions for
yeah.
the inflamed patient.
I know Jody
Yeah.
was always talking about you for years about how you were early onto the webinar piece. Like you were early
Mhm.
advocates of the technology. And so even before COVID, to me, it was a great idea, but it seems so like tech and foreign. And so, yeah, we appreciate your entrepreneurial piece and you're always pushing the profession. We can see it. We appreciate it.
That's awesome. That's
Awesome.
we'll continue pushing together.
Yes, we
Sounds
will.
good. Sounds good.
Okay.
Have a good
Awesome.
day.
Thank you so
Take
much.
care.
Take
Bye.
care.
Bye.
Bye.